Good morning, Kahal Kadosh, Beruchim Aba'im to everybody. Today, Wednesday, the 18th day of Elul, corresponding to the 14th day of September. Today's class dedicated in honor of Mrs. Marilyn Crane, in honor of his sons, daughters, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. May HaKadosh Baruch Hu bless her with arichut yamim v'shanim tovot, and may she see a lot of nachat from all her children, her descendants. Amen. So today we continue with the next chapter of Rabbi Moshe Cordovero. We begin today another message on the concept of Binah. Just allow me to open the page right here. I have it, the second book as well next to me. So today we're going to discuss a very interesting topic, somehow connected to the ways of Teshuvah. So it says Rabbi Moshe Cordovero that how does a person conduct themselves with the topic of Binah? What is the concept of the word Binah? The literal meaning of the word Binah means understanding. We say in the Amidah, Ata honen le'adam da'at umlamed le'enosh binah. Behonenu meitecha chokhmah binah bada'at. Chokhmah means wisdom, binah means understanding, and da'at means knowledge. Understanding means that the person really absorbs whatever message it is. Knowledge is knowledge. I can read the book, I understand what I'm saying, I acquiring knowledge. But does that knowledge turns into practice? Not always. Sometimes the knowledge gets stuck in the brain and doesn't move past first base. So it says Rabbi Moshe Cordovero, today we are going to learn how do I translate my wisdom into actions. So it says Rabbi Moshe Cordovero that one of the easiest ways of understanding this concept is the concept of Teshuvah. What Teshuvah means, even though in English Teshuvah means to repent, to return to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, as the Pasuk writes in Megillat Icha, Hashivenu Hashem Elecha Benashuva, Hadesh Yamenu Kekedem, Hashivenu Hashem Elecha, we're going to return to you, God. Nevertheless, it says, when does a person do Teshuvah? When it finally hits the person, the need to change. So it means I understand that I need to change. I know that I need to change. But knowing that I need to change into understanding that I need to change is a big gap in between. So therefore it says that when a person, and this is so beautiful, that this may provide solutions for our life. Solutions. Every person has a hidden situation in their life. I said this yesterday at the end of the class. We have different type of challenges in our life. Some of them are visible. Some of them are exposed to the public eye. But there is a segment of our life that is behind the person. Meaning to say, you don't know what I may be going through, and I don't know what you're going through. And I don't know what you're going through. On the external, you look very happy, very clean, very presentable, black jacket, white t-shirt, black pants, socks, Hazaku Baruch. You look like a Bahur Yeshiva, so to speak. Oh, are you here? Good morning. Okay? Okay? And guess what? A person that may be looking more sporting type, okay, has different midot that the other one may or may not have. So therefore it says, you want a solution to challenges in life? Number one, it says, Lematek hadinim. I need to mitigate judgment. For those that were here in the class that I gave before this one, it was not recorded. We mentioned one sentence from yesterday's class. We explained how the more the person invests in an insurance policy, the more protection the person has for their life. Let's talk about insurance. Okay, I'm not selling you an insurance, But let's discuss for a minute or two just to understand the message of Rabbi Moshe Cordovero. We have all kinds of insurances in life. You have car insurance, you have health insurance, you have life insurance, you have home insurance or condominium insurance, correct? And based on the situation, that's the type of insurance that you have. And our hope and pray is that we hope that we never need to use the insurance. But, right? That's your prayer. B'ezrat Hashem. But in the event that I need to use the insurance, I want to make sure that whatever I've been paying, at least is going to provide me some type of coverage for my need. If it's car claim, a flooding, a hurricane claim, or God forbid, on the ultimate need of a life insurance policy. There is nothing wrong for a person to have life insurance. I actually encourage people to have life insurance because it gives a peace of mind to the surviving family members. If it's the wife or if it's the children, whatever situation it may be, and it's not a lack of emunah, and I say this publicly, it's not a lack of emunah to invest in a life insurance policy. It's actually an act of hesed. I, myself, today, I need to deal with a case that the husband regretfully left the world, the main breadwinner of the family, and the family now needs help. No much income coming, a large family, and no life insurance. Haz v'shalom. Thank God, there is a wonderful institution from New York that steps up to the plate for the first year or second year of passing of a family member, and they prove bona fide financial need. They send a monthly check. And there are many wonderful institutions who do that, but they require rabbinical affidavit. 2 rabbis from the city that they live to vouch and to verify the information. It's a beautiful thing. Okay? It's a mid 4 figures a month. Okay? $4,000 or $5,000 a month. And based on the situation, on the case, we have another case in South Florida. No names, but a rabbi who passed away almost 10 years ago. Okay? Till today, the family receives a monthly check from people that monthly, quietly, they help. Unbelievable zechut. And I know this because I'm the one who signs that check. So I know details, numbers, without going into specifics. You know what does it do? Says Rabbi Moshe Cordovero. When you invest in rahamim, when you invest in acts of compassion and benevolence, you are increasing your life insurance policy. The more hesed, the more rahamim we display, especially for the orphans and the widows and the destitutes, guess what? We are building a fortress against Midat Hadin. So if God forbid, there is an attribute of judgment activated against that person, the zechut of that person giving to the less fortunate suddenly gives them immunity. Now, I don't know for how long that immunity works. I don't have that answer. Only God has that answer. But I can tell you, the more we invest in that, the more rahamim we get. The more rahamim we get, the mitigates the din. I'm going to bring an example to illustrate this better. Probably you are doing this in your home, but I'm not sure if we know the reason why we do this in our homes specifically. What I'm referring to? I'm referring to the Shabbat night Kiddush. On the Shabbat night Kiddush, we add a few drops of water on the wine. Now, why do you add a few drops of water on the wine? Short answer, metikat hadinim, to mitigate judgment. Now, what judgment? Is Shabbat. I'm making a deuce. True, but we need to understand the difference between wine and water. Water is from Shamayim. Even the water that you see on the earth, the source of water is Shamayim. That's why it's called Shamayim. Shamayim. There is the water. Then the water splits. You know, I'll tell you something. This is from the left field. Okay? Today is the yortzeit of the Maharal of Prague. You remember the golem? The famous golem in Prague? The golem of Prague? He was an agent of the Maharal of Prague. I want to go check it out one day. I'm not sure that I'm going to go. But before COVID, I said to myself, I want to go see the city of Prague. I want to see the golem warehouse or the attic. I want to see the Jewish square. By the way, there is a kosher hotel not far from the synagogue. Kosher meals, kosher restaurant, mikveh in the hotel. Unbelievable. I never went, but I saw it when I was doing research pre-COVID. You know what the Maharal of Prague writes? He explains about, in Sukkot, he talks about the prayer of Mashiva Ruach Homorida Keshem. We're going to do the switch Shemini Aseret. And he says, when God created the world, and through the week of creation, Ikavu Hamayim Mitachat Hashamayim, when the Torah speaks about the splitting of the waters were split in two parts. The waters that remain suspended in the heavens, and the waters that came down to the earth. We know this. That's why we have water. This water that we have throughout the world, the oceans, etc., they are the offspring of the original waters in the first week of the creation that were splitted, the heavenly waters and the worldly waters. But says the Maharal of Prague, a fascinating hidush, and it says that many times you go to the ocean and you see that waves are formating. Sure, from a scientific perspective, you're going to give me the reason. The combination between the wind and the water and the pressure, it causes a wave. All that is fine from the scientific aspect. You know what the Maharal of Prague says? That those waters that becomes drops, that become waves rather, they want to elevate themselves to Shamayim. Because they feel that Shamayim is too far from them. That's what he writes on Sukkot. Something fascinating. And that's why it says that even a water fountain, in the beginning, go outside to see the water fountain, you see that it elevates a couple of feet. And then it comes to a level that the water starts coming down. Why? Because it does not have permission from Shamayim to be brought up. That's what's written in the name of the Maharal of Prague on today's, the day of his yortzeit, the 18th day of Elul. So it says Rabbi Moshe Cordovero that the more the person invests in Rahamim, the more Midat Adin gets mitigated. That doesn't mean that the attribute of judgment will never exist as much as Hesed we do. But there is a mitigation. Like I started to explain, the water is sweet. The wine is bitter. What does it mean, bitter? Somebody may say, Rabbi, I drink a wine that is very sweet. Hazak u'baruch. Okay, there is sweet wine, semi-sweet wine, dry wine, Hazak u'baruch. All that we know. But spiritually, the wine is dangerous. Spiritually, the wine is dangerous. What does it mean? As long as you take wine with limitation, you are in control. But if God forbid, you remove that barrier of self-control, and suddenly the person and wine or alcohol develop a good, warm relationship, now the wine becomes din because it brings alcoholism. So from a Kabbalistic perspective, if you look at the Sidurim that have the special Leshem Yihud for the Friday night Kiddush, there is a paragraph there that says, I am pouring water on the wine.
Why?
Now, why? I'm going to explain. Thank you. Why? So there, the prayer brings a proof from Yaakov Avinu and Ishak Avinu. Remember the day that Yaakov went to Ishak, camouflage as Esav, correct? And Ishak says, bring me the food that I like. So that night, according to the holy books, was the night of Pesach. The night of Pesach, and that's why Ishak Avinu requested 2 animals. One for Korban Pesach and one for Korban Hagigah, the festive offering. There are 2 types of festive offering. One is a specific formula for each holiday. Korban for Pesach, Korban for Shavuot, Korban for Sukkot. Each one is different. But supplementing that, we have a generic offering called the holiday offering. That's why Ishak Avinu requested 2 animals. Besides matzot, and what else do you have in the night of Pesach? Wine. Now, where did Yaakov Avinu have wine? The pasuk says, I believe that I remember the pasuk by heart, at least the final part. Vayave lo yain vayesht. Do me a favor, you bring me a art scroll Chumash and an art scroll Sephardic Sidur. They are next to each other. Blue cover.
They used to celebrate the holidays.
Yes, they used Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov through the power of prophecy. They celebrated the holidays based on a godly message to them in advance. There is such a thing. Beautiful. Hazak Baruch. That's exactly what I was looking for. Thank you so much. And the reason I'm asking for these 2 books is because I know for sure that this book has it, and the Chumash is Chumash Bereshit, and the rest of the Chumashim are the Devarim, so I need a big volume Sefer. I want you to listen to the following pasuk. The pasuk says, Vayagesh lo vayochal, and it says that Yaakov Avinu served Ishak, and he ate. Vayave lo, and it was brought to him wine, vayesht, and he drank. In the Sefer Torah, words have ta'amim. Ta'amim, tunes. There are certain tunes which are found on a constant basis. If it's Rabia, Shofar Olech, Zakef Katon, Zakef Gadol, etc. Now, in the Sephardic tradition, there is a ta'am known as mercha kefula. Now, what does it mean, mercha kefula? I'm going to demonstrate real life the difference with 2 tunes. The pasuk says, Vayagesh lo, vayochal, vayave lo, yain, vayesht. Did you pay attention how the word lo, I elongated it? It's like a double tevir. The previous tune, Vayave darga tevir, that's a standard tevir. Double tevir is what I just did. Vayave lo. Why? It's not a common tune for the Torah. So I think to answer this, we need to explain what's the meaning of the word Vayabe. Vayabe doesn't mean that he brought. It means, and it was brought to him. Who is this? I believe that it says in the name of the Targum Yonatan ben Uziel. I'm 98.7, sounds like a radio station. 98.7 sure that that's the source. It says that it was the night of Pesach. Yaakov Avinu had masot and have the meat for the Korban Pesach, but it was missing the wine. The Malachim brought him wine to Yaakov Avinu to give to Ishaq. Stay tuned. Now I'm going to bring the Sidur that has the Leshem Yehud before the Kiddush. Many Sidurim have it, many Sidurim don't have it. You're not obligated halachically to say it, but sometimes it's good to read the fine prints to understand exactly what we are doing at home, especially adding water to the wine. So I'd like to quote very, very quick. This is found in the Ben Ishai, Volume 2, Perashah Bereshit. And it says the following. And it says, usually when we put water in the wine of Friday night of Shabbat, we're supposed to say a pasuk. You know, many people here can put the 3 waters and chalas. Okay, that's beautiful. But you're going to promote yourself to a higher level. Now we're going to say a password to activate the power of the blessing. Because, okay, you put the water, what did you achieve? Does it make a difference in your wine if you put 3 drops of water? Not in today's wine. In the olden days wine, the wine was so heavy on the body that the Gemara tells a story that there was a great Hakam that from Pesach till Shavuot, he could not do Kiddush or wine because he drank the 4 cups of wine that wasn't processed the way it is today, that it affected his stomach. So listen to the words. And it says, V'ratzomi lefanecha, Hashem Elokeinu v'Elokei avotenu, and may be the will of Hashem, etc., שבזכות מצוות מזיגת כוס היין של הקידוש במים, by the merit of diluting the cup of Kiddush wine with water, and now comes the pasuk, מלא ידינו מברכותיך, you fill our hands with your blessings, מעושר מתנות ידיך, with the riches of the gifts of your hands. What's so peculiar about this pasuk? I want you to know the following. This pasuk, we say it 6 months out of the year. In the Amidah, in the Beracha of Barech Alenu, the one that we start December 5th, we switch from Barechenu to Barech Alenu. This pasuk is found in every Sidur. In the blessing of Barech Alenu, it says this verse. Now, what's so special about this verse? Short answer. Male yadenu mevilchotecha, rashi tevot, mayim, water, me'osher, matenot yadecha, from wealth to the gifts of your hands, mem yod, mayim. That's why Miami, it's called Miami, of mayim. True. We are a peninsula. We are surrounded by Miyam. That's what it means, Miami. Miyam. You have the Atlantic Ocean, you have the Pacific Ocean, you have the Gulf of Mexico. You have surrounded by water. I'm not sure the Gulf of Mexico, but somewhere there is nearby. Just follow the map. Okay? Northern Florida doesn't have much water. But the east, the west, and the south, it's surrounded by mine. That's why it's called Miami. Understand? You like it, Sanamon?
No.
Thank you.
The Indian knew Hebrew.
Yes. Now listen now. Listen now to the next sentence. Pay attention. And it says, and listen to please. ובזכות Yaakov temimecha, and in the merit of Yaakov, the holy, the complete one, asher mitek hageburot ba'hasadim, that he sweetened the forces of judgment with kindness, as the pasuk says, Perashah Toledot, Bayabelo Yain Bayesht. What does it mean? And he brought wine and he drank. The Armele Maya Beyena, that he threw water into the wine. That's the source of putting water into the wine, Rabotai. And it says, Ken berahamecha rabim, also in your mercy and kindness, itmateku kol hageburot vehadinim, may the judgment be mitigated, begomlenu hasadim tovim, and you grant us good kindnesses. If you have the Hebrew English New Art Scroll Sephardic Siddur, you'll find it in the Shabbat Night Kiddush Hebrew English version. It's nothing wrong to use an English Siddur if it helps us understand. You can even say it in English, because this prayer is so powerful. It contains so much blessings at all levels. And so this is now the source. So that's exactly what Rabbi Moshe Cordovero says. He's not talking about the wine and the water, but he says your mission in life is to build resistance, is to build an insurance policy against the challenges of life. You know, sometimes people post kemiot, amulets, in front of the house. During the height of COVID, somebody was giving out kemiot. Kemiot against a magefa. Kemiot against plagues. Because plagues, like we had in COVID, it's not the first time in history that happened. Throughout history, there were many times that there were plagues. Bubonic plague, black plague, yellow fever, cholera, all these things that happened throughout history. So today the new one was called COVID, which Be'ezat Hashem, we hope and pray that is long retired already. Uber lift the mask requirement. Okay? So Hazaku Baruch to them. Anyways, so comes Rabbi Moshe Cordovero and it says, our mission in life, going back to understanding, is to nullify bitterness in life, which is beautiful. Who wants to live a bitter life? Do you like bitterness? Do you like bitterness? I don't like bitterness. I can't stand a bitter person, so to speak. I can't stand negativity. It affects me. So therefore it says, how do I reverse bitterness? How do I do that? What, I put sweet and low or stevia in the coffee? So it says, very simple, Teshuvah. It's easier said than done. But, he says, if a person reaches the level of understanding that's higher than knowing, I know that eating bread is not good for my health, let's say. But I eat it because I like it. So on one hand, I know that it's not beneficial, but I'm doing it still. So it says Teshuvah is not only knowing the need of doing Teshuvah, but it's actually trying to activate thoughts of Teshuvah in the life of the person. And this helps the person to gradually remedy whatever spiritual deficiencies the person has in the life. Like Rabbi David Asher said Sunday night, it says, let's say that a person makes a checklist of matters in life that a person recognizes the need to change. At all levels. With God, with my fellow friend, in my marriage, in my work ethics, in my prayers, in my mitzvot that I do. And you look at the list and you say, Uli, I have a problem with this, I have a problem with this, I have a problem with this, I have a problem with that. He said that it becomes overwhelming to the person. So what formula he gave? Taking one step at a time one day at a time. As I finished in the class yesterday morning, I take upon myself that today I will make the day to be the best that I can. I'm going to have hiccups, of course. I don't want to say the word guarantee, but I'm going to tell you what the pasuk says is also part of your daily prayers, our daily prayers. The pasuk says as follows. The pasuk comes from Micha. You can find this pasuk in the prayer of Batipalel Hana. We know in the Sephardic Siddur, Batipalel Hana is the opening statement of Tefillat Shaharit, even before the Akedah. And although Batipalel Hana originates from the book of Shmuel HaNavi, but at the second half, there are many verses from many different sources. And the pasuk writes from Micha HaNavi, Al tismehi oyabti li. Do not rejoice over me, my enemy. Yani, you're talking to the Yetzer Hara. It says, you are happy because I'm having a spiritual hiccup. It says the pasuk, Ki nafalti kamti. Even though I fell down, I will rise. Ki eshev b'choshech. And even though I'm sitting in darkness, Hashem or li. God is my light. What are you telling the Yetzer Hara? Don't celebrate that today I did not have a good spiritual day. Tomorrow is another day. Tomorrow is another chance that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us. That's why at the end of chapter 27 of Tehillim, that many say, especially during the month of Elul, at the end, the final verse of David HaMelech, chapter 27 says, Kaveh el Hashem, so to speak, Hazak ve'yames libecha, bekaveh el Hashem. And it says, Kaveh el Hashem means having hope in God. Hazak, strengthen yourself, and God will give you the courage. Bekaveh el Hashem, and have hope in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And I recall when I gave this class in the book of Tehillim in Spanish, that we asked the question, why the redundancy of the pasuk telling me, Kaveh el Hashem, Kaveh el Hashem? Why a sandwich? So it says very simple, that even though that a person have hope and emunah in Hashem, and the matter didn't pan out the way the person thought that it was, nevertheless, don't remove and don't minimize your emunah in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If at the end of the day, we remember the famous two great Hachamim from the Gemara, one by the name of Nahum Ish Gamzu, which, by the way, in a few days, Rabbi Moshe Cordovero will speak about Nahum Ish Gamzu. Why was he called Gamzu? We know the answer, but he's going to say, what's the meaning of the word zu? Why don't you say ze? Why don't you say zot? In Hebrew, there is no word zu. There is a word, only because the Gemara brings it. He'll explain what's the meaning of the word zoo from a Kabbalistic perspective. I don't mean the Miami Zoo. I don't mean the Miami Zoo or the safari in Palm Beach. I mean the word zoo, which the Gemara explains, Gamzu letovah. This is for good. Rabbi Akiva, Kol v'le'avid rahamana letav avid. Whatever God does is for a good reason. But that can only be activated if we truly believe in it. Okay, something didn't work out, must be a good reason. And he will say that the more the person engraves these words in the heart, life becomes happier and easier. Because at the end of the day, why people become desperate when things don't happen? And I'm not talking about final moments of life. I'm talking about day-to-day life. Hazaku Baruch. Because we believe that we are in control. And if something doesn't happen when it suits my schedule, it means a drama. But remember, and this will finish, what Shlomo HaMelech says, Davar ve'eito matov. Things will happen when they need to happen. Not a minute before, not a minute after. What happened? One time, I remember this as a child. As a child, my family and I were invited to a wedding. Beautiful, kosher, all beautiful. What happened? The Hatan forgot the ring at home. Can you imagine? You are the Hatan under the chuppah. The rabbi says, do you have the wedding ring? Oh yeah. Oh no. Uli, as you say, right? Uli. So what the rabbi did, obviously he needed to pause the ceremony because the ring must be owned by the groom. Cannot be borrowed. And can you imagine buying on the spot a toy machine and get a plastic ring to your future wife? That's a problem. So what did the rabbi do? He sent someone go to the groom's house and pick up the ring. And then the rabbi, when the ring came back, he said the following. I remember this happened when I was maybe 9 or 10 years old. And the rabbi said exactly what we finished the class now. Shamayim determined that this couple will not get married at 5:30 in the afternoon. Shamayim determined that this couple will get married at 6 o'clock. Even though the Hatan and the Kala are under the chuppah, God says, my plans are different. Send somebody to pick up the ring, and you're going to get married at the proper time. If we develop this mindset, believe me, it's going to enhance our life. Because disappointments also takes a toll on the person. But if we say, Tam Zule Tovah, you're going to start seeing things in a more positive light, and we're going to be able to develop sablanut also, patience, and understanding. God is in my driver's seat. I may be the co-pilot, I may be the passenger. So once I'm under God's tutelage, I'm on the right path. Okay, my good friends? ברוך אדוני לעולם, אמן ואמן. רבי חנניה בן הקשיא אומר, רצה הקדוש ברוך הוא לזכות את ישראל לפיכך, הרבה להם תורה מזוות שנאמר, אדוני